presents the I-70 Hot Tag with your host, Chaos Chase, and the real Josh Elliott.
What is going on, everybody? How are we this evening?
What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining in. This is the I-70 Hot Tag.
Yes. So, this is episode, what are we on? Episode 3?
This is episode 4.
Episode 4. Fantastic. So, we had a very special, we have a very special show lined up for everybody. Before we get into all that stuff, for those that aren't familiar, for those listening who aren't live, this is just a quick rundown of what the I-70 Hot Tag is about. What the I-70 Hot Tag is about is the Interstate 70 that flows through Missouri and Kansas. We take stops at local independent wrestling promotions in the state of Missouri and in the state of Kansas to put them over, if you will. I don't like to use that term because I know there is a show called Putting You Over. Friends of mine, and they do a fantastic job. But that's what we do. We want to elevate talent in the Missouri and Kansas area that people may not know about if you're not local or if you are local. Because we are firm believers in supporting local professional wrestling, and that's something we like doing. So, to get all the knick-knack paddywhacks out of the way, my name is Chase. I run CR Media. You can find me on social media, on all social medias, at the tag right there. Josh gets mad when my shirt is flipped, so now I'm all jacked up. So this is so weird. So yeah, you can find Chase at CR Media 1988. That's the tag. And Josh, where can everybody find you at, sir?
They can find me at the real Josh Elliott on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok. I also run the I-70 Hot Tag Instagram pages, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find that again at the I-70 Hot Tag. You can also, if you're listening to this live version, if you want to listen to it as a podcast form, we are on all the major platforms: Google Podcast, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. So we're on all those platforms, so you can download us in an audio form rather than if you can't join us live. So we'll be there as well.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Anchor showed this to me one of the last times I uploaded Bad Booking, my podcast that I do that's about mixed martial arts, boxing, and professional wrestling. Just want to plug that real quick. But last time I uploaded an episode, Anchor told me that Spotify is now supporting videos. So
Nice.
no longer have to worry about downloading the audio version from Restream and uploading it that way. You can just upload the video to Anchor, and Anchor will distribute the audio and the video to Spotify.
Nice.
So
nice. Well, I want to say before we kick this thing off, you talked about Bad Booking. So we got Bad Booking. You've got the I-70 Hot Tag, AEW recap show, James Howe Chiefs talk. So I think you should change your tag to Conrad Jr.
I'm telling you, man, I'm coming.
Coming for him.
And this was just for fun. Talking about the Kansas City Chiefs is how it started out, and now it is, Now it's I mean to the moon. So if you're watching, you can see that I am not in my room. I am in Doctor Strange's Emporium, Sanctum Emporium, or whatever it's called. And the reason why that is because my wife wanted to take me to go see Doctor Strange tonight, and I had to politely decline. And so, since I can't go see Doctor Strange tonight, um, I'm in the I am in the Sanctum Emporium tonight. So
Nice. Yeah, we got plans to go watch that on Friday the 13th, actually. So we will be in attendance, and
so
my
so
wife and
bold
I are gonna.
strategy. It's a bold
Yeah,
strategy, Cotton.
yeah, we got babysitters, so we're gonna go see some Doctor Strange. So
Well, I'll tell you what. Uh, there's a gigantic elephant in the room, man. Do we want to address that, or do we want to just?
well, so we had a lot of advertising for Dallas Cade joining us, and he is still planning to be here. I'm kind of working. If you can see, I'm looking off the screen for those of you who are live. I'm trying to get him into this into the platform where we're going. We're sending him a link via email, so hopefully he'll be in here shortly. So
No worries. So, do we want to hold off a minute, or do we want to get into Journey Pro? Hey, why don't we do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Looks like I've got one viewer on Facebook, and I've got another viewer on Twitch. So why don't we take this minute to like, share, and subscribe if
There
you
you go.
haven't already. We would greatly appreciate it. As I jumped on Twitter for a second, and I had like 8 notifications. So I was like, whoa. Okay. So again, if you have not already, would greatly appreciate it if you would hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Hey, did you when I sent you the link, did you pair it with
Yeah,
all the
I've
other
got it
stuff?
for mine. I've got it paired.
Okay.
It's supposed to be distributing out to my Twitch and my Facebook and Twitter is what it's supposed to be going to. I always share the live stream anyway on those platforms anyway, straight from the CR Media page. So
Yep.
so what we can do, I mean, we can give a we can give a little a rundown of kind of an overview of the Journey show. We won't get too in depth into it, but we can maybe give it kind of a brief overview of that before Dallas joins us.
Okay. Do you need that link again, bud?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
He said he got it, so hopefully he's going to be joining pretty soon.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, man. Like I said, without getting too much in depth with what happened this past Thursday and Friday, Journey Pro, one of our most prominent independent organizations in the Kansas City area, held an event called All Good Things Flow into the City. They always have some creative show names.
I love their show names.
I mean,
they're definitely not like, don't get me wrong, like as a professional wrestling fan, I love like the classics, like, your 2-word, 1-word pay-per-view names,
yep.
Bad Blood or No Surrender or No Turning Back, or those are always cool. But the creativeness that Journey Pro puts into their pay-per-view names or premium live events, whatever. It's always nice. So
It is,
Definitely,
and normally they normally incorporate some sort of song name or an album name. Typically, sometimes it's whatever the season is. We talked about it on one of our first episodes I went to in December of 2019. Was Die Hard is a Christmas movie was their show name. They've had show names called Like a Rainbow in the Dark, Space Age Love Song, Rise Above, A Means to an End. So there's been a lot of musical references, and we're going to talk about it later in the show. They have a really, really cool benefit show coming up at the end of June that we're going to talk about. All proceeds are going to a charity. So very cool of them to do that, and I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, all good things flowing to the city happened April 28th to 29th. We had night 1, night 2. There was a total of 22 matches that happened over the course of these two evenings. Some guys wrestled 3 times. Some named Mr. Jeremy Wyatt wrestled 3 times in one night.
Yep.
So it was a hell of an event.
It was. And the best part about it was you got to see Journey Pro crown the first ever Journey Pro champion, which is very cool for them. Very exciting for them because, like I said, they've been around for years and have used other championships around the Missouri area, the Gateway Championship. So to see them birth their own champion, to see them birth their own champion is definitely so. Yeah. That's hella cool. Yeah. So,
yep, and it was pretty cool for us to we couldn't physically go to the event. Wish we could because seeing this and what I'm going to get into is that we discovered their Twitch page, which we've known about, I guess, but I guess it just didn't resonate with us that this is going to be broadcasted live on Twitch. And it was. And on our last episode, we were watching as we were recording on night 1. So we recorded with you as we're seeing, a handful of the matches that happened. We saw Dak Draper. We saw Dak wrestle Khan live on our live stream. I had never seen JDX wrestle. So JDX wrestled while we were, I wish I was able to, and I did go back and watch that, but just as a live platform chatting in the Twitch stream, I wish I was able to just watch that and communicate with the live streamers there. But yeah, I mean, great stuff, and I'm really glad that we've found this Journey to Anarchy Twitch stream, which it seems like Anarchy is going to be broadcasting on that Twitch stream as well, so we can see their events, us being in Kansas City, them in St. Louis, so we can kind of keep up with them as well.
Absolutely. Well, and when we'll kind of break that down a little bit more, because I know when you and I were live streaming it, we were kind of it was hard for us to kind of keep track of, because we were trying to do this show, we were trying to watch it, we missed a lot. I know I had mentioned, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure Dak Draper lost, and then the next night he was still alive in the tournament. We were like, maybe he didn't lose. So yeah,
definitely want to some of these matches, if you didn't watch it, every single match is phenomenal. Do yourself a favor, go back and watch this. They're on their Twitch stream. So
yeah.
So do you want to just start kind of breaking this thing down? We'll just start at the top of the card on night 1. What'd you think of
trying to get cam working. Well, so I came in night 1. When did I come in at night 1? Are these all in order?
They're in order by when it happened.
Okay.
So I honestly
I
think
came
the,
in.
the only match we missed was the first one.
Okay. Yeah, because we what is Heidi Howitzer and Leon?
Yep.
They got a tag team name, don't they?
Yeah, they're known as Wasteland War Party.
Boom.
Yeah.
Wait. No, that's not the one I or I came in right at I don't remember. It was a tag team match. I know that for sure. So
yeah, so the first match of the night, the way that Journey started off was Darian Benningston defeats Cody Lane. We talked about Cody Lane a couple weeks ago. He wrestled in Glory Pro, and that was the first time I had been introduced to Cody Lane. I had not seen him wrestle previous to that, so this is kind of cool to see him kind of travel down the I-70, the I-70 highway and go to Kansas City and wrestle here. So not sure how many times he's wrestled here, but it was cool to see him just a couple weeks, after the Glory Pro event to be here in KC.
Nice. So, all right. I am gathering up something real quick here. Yeah, no, when I started watching, it was a tag team match, and I can't remember exactly who was wrestling.
I think it
when I turned
was
it on.
I think it was Heidi Howitzer and Leon against Thumbs and Buns. I think that's what it was, because then we both saw the Laney Luck versus GPA, which was the little quick match.
Yeah, because it's her fiance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, give me 1 second here.
So, guys, if those of you who are still watching, we have a lot of pausing going on. We're trying to get we have Dallas Cade, who's coming on this show. We're trying to get him into the stream and get him on here so we can chat with him. So it's kind of we're kind of in a flux right now. So we didn't want to, we wanted to kind of end the show with the Journey Pro. We didn't want to get too much into the Journey talk. So we're trying to get Dallas Cade up on the show. So appreciate you joining in, Brody. He's in the chat. He looks like he's watching on Facebook. So welcome in. We are hopefully just a minute or two away from getting Dallas on. But
all right. I think he's ready, man. You want to introduce him?
Yep. So, we've been promoting him all week. We got our first guest on the I-70 hot tag, a young rising star in the Kansas City independent wrestling scene. Both Chase and I recently saw him at the DWF CSW event about a month ago, back on April 9th, I believe it was. He wrestled in a fun pre-show match. I was first introduced to him on a podcast called it was the 8-Bit 3D, where Kevin WK and Michael Reed hosted. He then went on to a podcast with them, and he was co-host of that. They were called Bruisers, Breakdowns, and Beards. So without further ado, this is straight from his Facebook page. Please welcome the iron clanging, head banging, kickstart to your heart, Dr. Feelgood himself, the hair metal heartthrob, Dallas Cade.
Yay!
What's up?
Am I in? Am I heard?
Yeah.
Am I visible?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Jesus. Hi, everyone. I
How you doing?
apologize for my tardiness.
You're
No,
good.
Good
that's okay.
God.
That's okay, man.
I did not know that I was going to have to kick this much dust off the old podcasting equipment because, whew, man, I could not find one. There wasn't one step in the process that I couldn't run into some kind of hiccup.
Hey, man, better late than never, right?
I suppose. Thank you guys for buying me some time, for being patient. Thank you, everybody that's watching, that's listening. But here I am. I finally made it.
Right.
We are
There you
here.
go.
And thank you for such an introduction. My word.
Yeah. He had that one planned out for ever since you said it. So we've had our rundown and he had that whole paragraph written for you. So
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate it. It reminds me of the days where I used to have old Captain Midnight reading that off literally every night at a Journey show. So
Really?
oh yeah. I one time, like, it got to the point where I almost printed off like my own personal index card just to like give to him and be like, here you go, man. So you don't have to keep like remembering it.
Is he still announcing? What's he doing now? You know?
I don't know, man. I think he's from Iowa, I think. So he's either been doing stuff up there or doing his own personal thing. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in quite a while, but I do miss him. He's one of the coolest, most quality announcers I think I've come across in my short stint in this wrestling world. He's definitely one of the best, and I don't know if he is taking any bookings, but if he does decide to do that again then any show should do what they can to get a quality announcer like Captain Midnight.
awesome. So Dallas wanted to ask you, we've got some interview questions for you.
Of course.
To help you out and help us out as well. After the interview's done, do you want to stick around and talk about Journey Pro, or do you got
Well,
something
I
you gotta
mean, you guys have got me. I know I've obviously cut into some of your time by being so tardy, but I'll do my best to make up for that. As far as covering Journey, I can do my best. I wasn't there. I know, like, I tweeted this, so I don't know if anybody that doesn't follow me on Twitter knows this or not, but I caught influenza right before the weekend, so I was dealing with that. I could not be there. It took me about 3 days to break a fever, so just as I was about to like hit that 24-hour mark where I had been able to finally maybe not be contagious, even then it was still kind of like, but can I really be slamming people over my head? I've still, even like as early as yesterday, have been coughing, just crap. So I wasn't there. And it pained me in every fiber of my being not to be there, because that's like 2 in a row now that I've missed, previously due to COVID, and now I caught influenza. But if you guys want me around to cover the Journey stuff, I can talk about it to the best of my abilities, but I wasn't there.
Well, I know you were. Did you watch the whole thing on Twitch, or?
I did. I watched as much as I could. I watched, I think it was the latter half of night 1, and then I'm pretty sure I watched all of night 2 live on the stream.
Well, like I said, you're more than welcome to. We would love to have you hang around if you'd like, man. Dallas, you mentioned Twitter.
I did.
So where can people find you on Twitter?
Well, while it is the bane of my existence and I have a very contentious, violent relationship with Twitter, I am on Twitter somehow, still to this day, at Dallas Cade. That is, I mean, I'm not a huge social guy. I don't use it very consistently, very constantly. But I do use it as a promotional tool. I put a lot of, especially when I have events to promote or stuff like that. That's almost always it'll end up on socials. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Dallas Cade.
Fantastic. So, just to kind of get into this, tell us, who is Dallas Cade?
That is an excellent, very not at all broad, open-ended question. Dallas Cade is the hair metal heartthrob. I consider myself a bit of an old soul. Obviously, somebody who tries to build their look and their vibe entirely on a subgenre that predates them. You kind of feel like maybe they're kind of into some of the classics, my parents raised me on, John Hughes movies and 80s rock. My dad is a huge, his favorite band, I think, of all time is Pink Floyd. He couldn't get me into Pink Floyd because I don't know. I can't do Pink Floyd, but, Motley, Poison, Guns N' Roses. And then I sometimes the harder stuff too, Metallica, Iron Maiden. A lot of, I think it was mostly like Guitar Hero, because I was a kid when Guitar Hero was all the rage. So we were playing it nonstop, me and my dad and my siblings. So I think that's where the love of the old music comes from. And then a couple of buddies of mine, we were all just kind of joking around like, oh yeah, what if I just came out wearing acid wash jeans and the horribly smelling denim vests with all the patches on it and stuff, and just totally bought into the whole 80s rock fest traveler type. And I kind of did that, and it turned from a joke to the entire gimmick, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Fantastic. So to follow up on that question, I was going to ask what the inspiration behind the creation of Dallas Cade was. I think you kind of answered that, unless you have something that you were sitting there one night and just kind of.
Oh no, it wasn't like a light bulb went off and then all of a sudden it hit me and it was just this picture perfect image. No, man, this was something that I meticulously some of the weirdest minute details I ironed out over the course of about a year, right before the pandemic and everything started. Journey's first year, I spent the entire year trying to earn my way into a bigger spot on the card through the scramble, which was where Journey did a lot of introducing, out of town talent or some younger talent, guys, to kind of throw them in front of the audience and see how the audience felt about them. And that was the time period that I was really starting to come up with these ideas and, using different rock music every night, and slowly just building layer upon layer to the look and sort of the vibe, how I would start to sort of act in the ring and a lot of things like that. It all developed gradually over about a year, and still to this day, I'm still adding to it. I'm still trying to maybe take stuff out, replace it with something else, see if this can't work better. Just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's a lot of what the creative process is. And I don't think that's just specific to wrestling,
No, absolutely not.
But yeah, I mean, it all started as a joke, It was a joke between me and a couple of my friends. And then we just, kept adding to the joke, and it got funnier and funnier. And then I was like, you know what? If we're getting such a kick out of this, just talking about it, then maybe there's probably something to that. And then I started, thinking about, okay, well, if I did do this, how would I do it? And what would it look like? And all those kind of things. And then I started implementing that. And then that was where the process sort of started.
Right.
Gotcha.
So how long have you been wrestling?
I started training summer out of high school, July 27th in 2017, I think, was my first day of my tryout at the NWL. I did a 3-day camp, and after the camp, the coaching staff offered me a spot in the school, and 9 months later, NWL very suddenly out of nowhere closed, and I was at a point in my training process where I had started doing matches on live events that weren't televised, sort of around, the metro area. I had done a match before we started our TV tapings at Turner Rec Center, and the coaches all kind of told me, yeah, you're kind of at the point where you're just, the biggest thing for you would probably be to start getting reps and start getting out there and traveling and trying to get booked and stuff. So that was what I did. And it was sort of very, well, here we go. Like, it kind of just happened. And that sort of has been how it's been for the last, 4 years now, I guess. Yeah. A little over 4 years of active participation.
Nice. What got you into professional wrestling? Have you always been a fan since you were a kid, or?
Oh yeah, my first introduction to wrestling was actually the video games. It was an old neighbor of mine when I was about like 5 or 6 years old. I had to be SmackDown versus Raw 2007. And I remember it was that game because that was the time when Edge and John Cena were doing their feud for the title. And Edge was the first pro wrestler I ever saw. And I was like, that to me was just what a pro wrestler looked like. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And then the further I got into it, I was the target demo for John Cena. I was like the 8-year-old kid with the t-shirt and the merch. It was like when he was doing the chain gang stuff, and he would still wear like the big chain and stuff, but he kind of ditched the thugonomics. And I got super into it from there. Growing up, obviously it becomes less and less cool. So you kind of put your wrestling fandom sort of in the closet. And when I finally got big enough to where kids decided to stop picking on me, I was like, you know what? Maybe we don't need to like hide that as much anymore. And I started going to shows in Kansas City. I went to my first Raw when I was 13 for my birthday. And I was like, I took a picture with a referee and I was like taller than him. And then it sort of just fell out of the sky. Like everything lined up to where I knew it would be ridiculous for me to pass up on this opportunity. I was graduating high school, didn't really know exactly what I was going to do with, the rest of my life. And I took my brother to Comic-Con. He really wanted to go and he'd never been before. And I didn't know if it was necessarily for me because I'd like never been to anything like that. But Ric Flair was going to be there. So he was like, oh, come on, we can go meet Ric Flair. And I was like, yeah, all right. That sounds kind of cool. So we go meet Ric Flair. We grab a picture. And towards the end of the day, we're both like, oh, I think we've seen everything. Like, oh, I think we're ready to go. Yeah. And we see this big, like, inflatable banner that was like, Fight KC. And we had no idea what we were looking at. And we both just bolted over there. And there's this big panel of like Dak Draper and Maverick, Moonshine Mantell, I think Mike Outlaw was there, and they had like that big backdrop with like the logo on it and everything. They had footage going on this big TV, and I was like, whoa, is like local pro wrestling. I had never seen an indie before. I had never seen anything other than WWE. I knew there was other stuff out there, but I had never like actually seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we talked to some of those guys, and we got to like cut a really bad promo in front of like the backdrop and everything. And Gabe Miller, who was sort of like a commentator and MC at the NWL, he was like, oh, you know, we have a school. You should like come try out at the school. And, you know, have you ever considered, you know, wrestling or whatever? And, you know, had that whole conversation. And then I graduated. And then at the end of the summer, they posted on their social media that they were having this big tryout camp. And I was like, it's about a 45-minute drive from my house. I can totally just like go and do it. And it's right there. Why not? You know, like it felt like I would have been a fool not to, you know, like the opportunity was just laid out for me. And it did sort of just feel like it fell right into my lap. And, you know, I had heard so many times about how people drove like 3 hours, you know, to a raggedy barn to train in like 110 degrees and then 3 hours back. And they did that forever. And I was like, I don't have to do any of that. I can drive 45 minutes to this really nice facility where they have weekly television, and I can train there and be there for, you know, 4 or 5 days a week and learn from people who have been to places like WWE, who had been to Japan, who had done this for a living and were doing it for a living. And to give you a long answer long, that's sort of how I got in there. It just happened.
Right on. Right on. We actually have a it's not showing up on the restream for some reason, but I've got it open on my phone. We got a someone in the chat wants to ask a question. Kyle Humbird wants to ask who has been your favorite, what's been your favorite match and your opponent?
My favorite match of mine?
Yes.
Oh man. It is very common in like performing industries, like this isn't specific to wrestling, I have found, for the talent or the performer to be their own worst critic. You know, we're perfectionists and we want everything to be perfect, and we're always looking for ways to improve. And there have been a lot of times where that made it really hard to even watch some of my stuff. Like I watched stuff from even like last year or a couple of years ago that I cringe, you know, I'm just like, oh, I could have done this better and I could have done that instead of this. And oh, right here, I should have done that or whatever. And, you know, cause hindsight's 2020 and you're always like, oh, why didn't I think of that? You know? So it was really hard for me. And it still is sometimes to watch my stuff back and just kind of like enjoy it. Oh, one of my favorites. Gosh. I would like to say that I haven't wrestled my favorite opponent yet, because there are a lot of names that are sort of on my list, because everybody has one, and I haven't even touched my list, you know. It just hasn't lined up that way. But some of my favorite opponents so far have probably been the Enlightenment, the tag match I did. I've had 1, maybe 2 tag matches against them, and you know, they weren't anything crazy, but it was just like, it was good quality stuff and it was fun. And they're both, Mike Seidel and Luke Lang, they're both incredible in terms of like in the ring. Gosh, they just, you know, they had, obviously with recent events, it's very hard to talk about Langley in a positive light. But man, the Enlightenment was just, it was such a good act, as well as both of them being such smart in-ring performers. Oh man, they were a lot of fun. I have only shared the ring with Christian Rose twice, and very briefly both times. Once in a scramble in Journey's first year, and once in a triple threat with Langley at Blip. I can't remember what show that was. But both times I just felt like, oh, like, man, like, just if I could have just gotten to sink my teeth a little deeper into him, like, I can feel it. He and I, one day, whenever our paths eventually cross, I have a feeling that him and I is going to definitely be one of my favorites, because I mean, God, he's so good. Like, he's an amazing promo. He's a storyteller, which at my heart is what I try to be first and foremost with any of my matches. I try to put the story above everything. So he and I really sort of connect on that. And obviously he's the champ now, so that sort of raises that stake. And obviously there's a lot of other names on my list, some of them more sentimental than others. But probably my favorite match that I've had recently, and I'm just using this one because I remember it so well even now, was a last man standing match that I had in December. It was this big year-end event in Hutchinson, Kansas at Memorial Hall. And it was one of those buildings that's actually meant to be a venue for, events. Yep. And I always just feel like those venues always sort of like stand out to me. And I don't really know whatever reason why, but it was this big blow off feud between me and Clayton Bloodstone. And there was this huge build of like going back to a year before or even longer. And, we just had to settle it last man standing, and we brawled all over the building into like, there was sort of the floor seating, and then there was an elevated like bowl seating that went sort of around the ring, and we went up into the bowl, back down, like he threw me off the stage, and we beat the hell out of each other. And it was just like I felt like I knew what I was sort of, the way I described it was I felt like I knew what I was doing for like the first time. Which, sounds much more egotistical than I'm trying to make it sound, but
not at all, man.
We sort of like, we had an idea, we had a mission for what we wanted to do, and the story that we wanted to tell, and the way we were going to do it. And they were with us exactly where we wanted them to be at every like moment in the match. As we progressed, they were with us. And by the end of it, when we got to the back, just sort of the feeling of some of the people in the locker room that watched that match who agreed that we did exactly what we set out to do. It just makes you feel good, when you go out there with this specific intent, with this purpose that you set out, and you properly achieve that, man. It's the why we do it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dallas, I got a question for you really quick, man. What is that on the back of your chair?
On the back of my chair? Oh, this? I'm sure you know, which is why you asked.
I do.
Okay.
I have two boys, man. My boys are 11 and 10, and they are huge anime guys.
Really?
Yes.
Damn, you let your 10-year-old watch Demon Slayer?
Oh,
my man.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent, so don't let me tell you how to parent. But no, my mom definitely wouldn't have let me watch something like Demon Slayer at 10 years old. That's the only reason I'm impressed. But yeah,
he actually went as Demon Slayer for Halloween, and he still wears it. My 10-year-old, he wears it around the house all the time, and he'd
Cool.
wear it to school if I'd let him. But that's
Oh,
where,
for sure. Especially
yeah,
that age. Yeah. Like they're so, dude. And it's so good, man.
yeah,
I'm all about it right now.
yeah.
I'm not a huge anime guy, but I have a friend who is, and he knew how into Avatar: The Last Airbender I was.
Yeah.
Especially when they like threw it up during the pandemic, like threw it on Netflix. So like I got my brother to watch it, I got my other friend to watch it. I was like, I think I watched it like 10 times in the last year or two. Like it's absurd. And he knew how much I enjoyed that show, and he was like, "You got to watch Demon Slayer." And I was like, "All right, I'll watch Demon Slayer." And I've watched it 3 times since the first time. Yeah, I just it's a really good show, man.
Yeah, he like I said, he would wear it to school. But I don't really care if anybody watching this podcast. I don't really care if
Hey,
anybody's
man.
upset.
I'm a nerd. I'll be the first one to tell you. And a lot of wrestlers are.
I was just gonna say, I just don't want the elementary teachers sending letters home. Like, hey, I know what Demon Slayer is.
Right.
So, so kind of on that subject of, I hate using the word mainstream. I really do. But what is your opinion of the mainstream going on right now with WWE and AEW? Do you watch it? Do you follow it?
Well, you have to, right? Like that would be like being in tech and not keeping up on Google. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, what the fuck do you mean you're not going to keep up on Google? Why are you in tech? Like you just have to keep up, you have to stay current, and at the bare minimum, you have to know what's going on. There have been like recently wrapping up last year, I was going through a bit of a episode of burnout, and I wasn't watching anything. But the last like couple of months, I have been watching a lot. I watched, gosh, I knew I hadn't been keeping up on Dynamite, so I watched maybe half a dozen episodes of Dynamite, like back to back to back. And I did the same thing with Rampage. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of Rampage just to get caught up. I watched Mania. And just like at the very least to stay current. And sometimes you watch different stuff for different purposes as like someone who's trying to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when I'm watching, I find that I'm more watching from the perspective of a wrestler than I am as a fan. And sometimes I'm like, dude, I don't have the capacity for that. I'm just going to watch this right now as a fan. And that's sort of that's what I've been choosing to do with a lot of WWE, especially lately. I haven't been watching a ton of Raw or SmackDown, but I'll watch like clips, because they post a lot of like clips of stuff on their socials and on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'll watch stuff like that. AEW, for whatever reason, I have not missed a minute of, especially once I got caught up. And I think that's just because like that seems to be like it's the new thing, right? So they're going to be doing a lot of experimenting and a lot of like trying different things out with the specific format of live national television. So sometimes it's just curiosity, just like, all right, like seeing what they're going to try next and seeing what they're finding works for them, or what I notice they're sort of sticking to. And just trying to like pick up on stuff, you know what I mean? It's sort of tricky to put into words, especially as somebody who is so young and knows so little. and who has done nothing, you know, and who's trying to get to that level, you sort of watch with a different perspective. So yeah, it's just changed the way I've watched wrestling in general, you know. In order to avoid some of that feelings of burnout, I try to be a little bit more selective of what I'm watching or of when I decide to sit down and watch stuff, because I'm the kind of guy, no matter what it is I'm watching, if I'm going to watch something, I want to sit down and dedicate my attention to it. A movie, a TV show, wrestling, whatever it is, you know, because I like picking up on the details. It sort of enhances the experience, you know? And like I said, I'm a storyteller first. So that's the sort of stuff that I kind of look for. So yeah, I think I try not to have an opinion on like, on sort of, I guess, the mainstream or the current product, just because who cares about my opinion? You know what I mean? Like you two shouldn't, nobody watching should, just like you shouldn't care about what, shit, I don't know. Like, it's so weird what's going on right now. Like with the way people interact, especially with social media and everything.
Yeah, no,
everything is still so weird. Like we're still coming out of like this pandemic where we're all just, nothing's the same, you know, and peeps, you know, some people try to deal with that in different ways, and some people, you know, try to act like everything is back to normal and stuff like that. Things are not the same, you know?
Yeah.
And I think we're all just trying to like figure that out. I'm definitely doing that. This has been a very like emphatic period of growth for me, not just pertaining to my career. So yeah, you know, like I'm going to summarize it with what Samoa Joe said recently. And I know, and I think, because I remember everybody made a big deal about it, like, especially as it pertains to like AEW fans and WWE fans and sort of the discourse between them. It's ridiculous. Just watch pro wrestling.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed. You know, it's funny because, we do a lot of social media, and, you know, it's
right. It's sort of a necessary evil.
And it's crazy because, you know, wrestling is at its hottest point that I can think of. I mean, I'm 34 years old.
Feels like it, right? I mean, when was the last time we had two, you know, traveling weekly nationally televised shows? You know, it was back in the, you know, WCW.
Yeah.
Yep.
And social media wasn't around then. So
no.
You know, I mean, it's hard to be that guy that's like, oh, you know, we didn't have to deal with this 20 years ago. But who knows? I mean, you didn't have kids making TikToks and getting hundreds of thousand followers making wrestling content, or 45-year-old men, or 34-year-old fat guys. Like,
right? Nobody. Yeah, I mean, it's a different time. There's been nothing like this period in human history, you know?
Yeah.
And you're going to say that again 20 years from now, you know? Like, it's just different. And yeah, it's just sort of, we all got to like what we like, and we got to be cool with other people liking something different. Wrestling is flavors of ice cream, you know? Not everybody can like the same flavors.
Yeah. Right. If we all like the same thing, it would be boring.
It would.
So I want to ask who, you know, as far as AEW and WWE, and I'll even throw Impact in there. Is there anybody that you watch that you kind of like just kind of smirk and get a twinkle in your eye and go, man, I'd love to have a match with him?
Oh my God, almost anybody on TV. You kidding? like being the 23-year-old, haven't done anything, desperate to like try to make it, because, you know, like you'd be surprised. Not everybody is trying to like make it to where they're wrestling on television every week. You know, not everybody's trying to make it to WWE where they got to wrestle 250 times a year. So like as somebody who is, at least at some point in my life wants to try to like get to the point where I can at least be at that level and do this as my full-time job, like it's just the perspective that I see it with. So I mean, yeah, like from that lens, obviously anybody I would, love to just like be able to wrestle them because it would likely be there, you know what I mean? But I'll, for example, at Weekend at Journeys last summer, we had Alan Angels on our show, and Alan Angels and I spoke with the 3B guys after the show. And like, I didn't realize until after we had spoke, he and I are the same age. And
wow.
or like close to it. I think he's like a couple years older than me, maybe something like that. He's like mid-20s at the oldest. And I was like, oh my God, like it was this like very eye-opening experience to talk to somebody who, like is in that seemingly mystical place with a bunch of mystery that like is so elusive and nobody really knows anything about it because we're not there and all that kind of stuff. But as time has gone on, I've also noticed how many people I've at least been in a locker room with that are now at places like AEW or WWE or, like I was, I was a little, staff boy with my bright orange NWL staff shirt doing security while Eddie Kingston was wrestling Hoodie Howlett in Overland Park in 2018. And now look at where Eddie Kingston is. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, I was in the same locker room as him multiple times, and there he is. And, I met Orange Cassidy right before he ended up going to AEW. And I felt like such a douche. I didn't even know it was Orange Cassidy when I met him until he went out there that night. And I was like, wait, like, it was when he had like the IWTV title run and like he was like the hottest guy on the indies or I was like, I feel like such a douche. Just like one of the guys that I would train with multiple times a week at the TPC as a student, who could barely run the ropes, is working at AEW in a backstage capacity, like I never would have known any of that stuff was going to happen. So to just to see it from that perspective, it's like, wow, like obviously I would love to get in there with anybody on that level to at least learn from them about what it takes to get to that level, to be at that level, but in terms of like, obviously, I think I'm going to assume that what you sort of meant was like, oh, who would like dream matches, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, Punk's definitely up there, probably number one, because Punk was the guy that got me to transition from like little kid fan of wrestling to like getting into it, like getting into the weeds of it. Like, how does this work? Like, how do you do this? Like on a functional level to be a fan of pro wrestling, because I was 13 when he cut the pipe bomb. So I was like right at that age of like, the rebellious adolescent, like, oh, I want to buck the system and all that, which was him, So like, he's definitely up there for me, and his matches are incredible. Oh God, if I could wrestle like somebody like, oh God, Randy Orton, I don't even got it. That's not even a day of work. You know what I mean? Like that's literally a dream. You would have to pinch me to wake me up. Cena, definitely. If he, depending on, we don't really know what his schedule's like, but if he did sort of come back for a match here or there, hopefully I could be one of them. In terms of like guys that I just love seeing, I just love watching their work. FTR, like as somebody who's not a tag team like wrestler, I'm not in a tag team. I've never really been super like, I obviously, if somebody asked me to do a tag match, I would try my best to do a tag match, but like I don't have the same appreciation for it as they do because I just can't comprehend it that way because I'm just me, I'm just some pleb. But like them, even their single, like just fundamentally wrestling, you know what I mean? Like 101, like they're just so much fun to watch. Like as a student, you know what I mean? Just how crisp they are and the fundamentals, man. They don't do a bunch of crazy shit. You know what I mean? But the stuff that they do is so believable, and it's like just every little detail is so on point. Like I'll never get tired of watching guys like FTR. Yeah, those are just some.
It's funny you mentioned FTR. That's probably them and American Alpha and NXT Black and Gold. Was
prime
probably
NXT, dude.
Yeah, probably one of my top matches of all time.
Yeah, NXT was never better.
I'll piggyback off that one. Because we all do it. When you're playing the latest WWE game, or maybe you're a Fire Pro guy, I don't know. But if you had a dream opponent of all time, not just in the wrestling business today, I mean, could we see we had a friend who is not a professional wrestling fan. We brought to.
I remember this. You guys told me about this. Yeah.
And he said that you gave him Macho Man vibes. I mean,
God.
could we, if we're booking dream matches, Dallas, could we see the Heartthrob versus
I would
Macho
love
Man Randy Savage?
I don't care who it is or what qualifications they do or don't have. If anybody is going to tell me that I give off Macho Man vibes, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Because I was a macho guy over a Hulk guy. Like when I was like, oh, I'm going to watch all the old stuff. You know what I mean? Because, you got to watch the old stuff. Yeah, I was always like, hell yeah, Macho Man. And I did a lot of like goofy stuff in high school. I tried forensics once. I was on like the media team. I was a theater kid. I played football. Like I did a whole bunch of different stuff. And I would sometimes just come up with these skits or these like silly characters that were just wrestlers that I would like basically take all their mannerisms and then apply it to whatever context I was doing a project on or something. So like I would literally rip off entire Macho Man promos and everybody was like dying. They were laughing so hard. And I was just like, you suckers don't know I am unoriginal as fuck. But yeah, dude, Macho, like, God. Yeah, I mean, sure. Who doesn't want to wrestle Macho Man? Are you kidding?
In one of Doctor Strange's 14,000,001 universes that he saw, the Iron Man snap happened. In one of those 14 million, Dallas, in 1987 at WrestleMania 3, you are going one-on-one in front of 93,000 people.
Damn, I was born like 40 years quick, or about 20, 30 years quicker.
40,
wow.
40 years. What the fuck, Dallas?
I was born in 98, man. All right.
I was born in 88. So when we're talking about WrestleMania 3 and you're like 40 years.
I gotta be old enough to like be at that level too. You know what I mean? I gotta have some, I gotta be veteran, especially then, dude. You gotta be veteran status to even get considered for that kind of level. But you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe in one of those 14 million realities, I wrestled Macho Man, and I'll take that because that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
But one other one would definitely be, and this is for the weirdest reason that I don't think anybody would think, Taker. And not even because of the match, but this is one of like those Taker moments that everyone as a fan knows. When he's making the 15-minute walk down the ramp at Mania and his music's playing and there's smoke everywhere and the lights are all, off and purple, and they pan over to like the opponent's face, and you just see it on their face. I'm about to wrestle The Undertaker at Mania. I always wanted to have that shot of me being the guy who was like shitting his pants because he's about to wrestle Taker at Mania with the music going on and like the lights and everything. I don't know why, but that to me was like, that's what I want. And like, I don't know how you explain that, but like that always stuck out to me as like a moment. You know what I mean? Like if I could have a moment, that would be definitely one that I want.
As diehard wrestling fans, like there's always those weird moments. Like
there's little things I want to get chopped. Oh, you do? Chopped. Oh, you're one of those guys?
Yeah, I would.
All right, this just went from here to here. This, you know.
So, but there's other moments. I mean, like I don't want to just get chopped. I mean, I know what you're talking about. Like, I would love to get German suplex by Brock Lesnar. Like
you're a fucking. Oh, you have kids. You have kids. What's wrong with you?
It sounds awesome. I was talking mad shit to Moonshine. I was talking mad shit to Moonshine Mantel. I would.
Of course you were, because Moonshine's always the guy that everybody's like, "Oh, you want to come chat me?" Let me tell you, from talking to Moonshine enough time about that specific instance, which happens all the time. He's like, I'm not some fucking dancing monkey, guys, where you can just throw a peanut at me and I'll dance for you. I don't want to chop anybody. Like, and I sympathize with him because, like, who's the fucking whack job that's gonna walk up to me and be like, "Hey, man, would you chop me?" Like, no. Why do you want me to hurt you? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Especially something like, all right, and I don't know how much 3B content you guys have consumed, but if you've consumed enough, I'm sure you've heard Mike and I in our eternal debate for he would rather get power bombed than take a chop. And I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because let me tell you, if you get power bombed, you very likely are getting concussed. You very likely will have neck damage, something in your back, whatever. Power bombs are no joke. You know what? A chop is it's a flesh wound. You know what I mean? Like at worst, you lose some skin. It's not being concussed. It's not brain damage. So like the fact that he'd rather take a power bomb, I don't get some wrestling fans these days. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, we used to backyard wrestle, so I mean, I've been DDT'd on paint cans and.
Oh my God. So that's what's wrong with you, huh?
Yeah.
See, I was never that guy. I was always the let me pretend to be Ric Flair and lock my brother in a sharpshooter and not let go. I wasn't the hardcore guy. I wasn't the let me go like jump off the roof of my house. Like that stuff, like I don't know what the hell is wrong. Why the hell are people
we did ladders and
somebody don't want to do that.
Watching guys like you, I guess.
That's right. Hurts, man.
There's some dumbass little kid sitting there at the stands and some young preteen watching you, and then he's like, "Oh man, I can't wait to chop somebody or powerbomb somebody." And then there's the kid that eats his boogers sitting right next to him, going, "Man, I really want to take a chop."
Well, as someone who's taken plenty of chops, let me tell you, don't want to take them. It ain't all it's cracked up to be, kids. Stay in school.
That's funny. Do you have any matches coming up lined up? You got any ventures you're getting ready to appear at?
Well, I know that CSW is doing their event strapped on the not the 27th, on the what's 14th next week? It's next week. I think it's 14th. I'll probably be there. I don't know if it will be in the same capacity. It might just be as a spectator or somebody to help out, but I know like it's a local place and I would love to see pro wrestling in Kansas City thrive. So I'll probably be there. I will definitely be at Journey Pro's next show on the 27th. Come hell or high water, nothing is stopping me from making this one. I'm not going to get sick. Nothing is going to spontaneously combust. Okay? I'm putting it out there in the universe. Nothing is keeping me this time. Okay? Just so we're all clear.
There you go.
And that event, we're going to talk about it a little bit later. It's Headlocks for the Cure. It's going to benefit it's an awesome cause. So we're going to get into that later on, but yeah. So we were watching the event a couple nights ago. I think it was night 2 for Journey, and someone, I wish I would have wrote down the guy's name on the Twitch stream. He was it was during a Sam Beal match, and he commented something about a wanting to see a hair versus hair match between Dallas Cade and Sam Beal.
I saw that comment.
I don't know if he knew you were in there or not, but he mentioned it. So
I mean, my name was right there, so I don't know how the hell somebody misses that, but I did see that.
Yeah,
and like, I guess since it already happened, I can't get in too much trouble if I divulge this. But excuse me. So JJ ended up having to step out. This was way before I think they officially announced that. So JJ's replacement against Sam was supposed to be me. And we had tried to book Sam and I in a match before, and he ended up having some problem with the Missouri Athletic Commission because they're a bunch of crooks. So that's twice now that fate has prevented us from crossing paths, and it almost just for the sake of being like, no, this is gonna happen. I almost want it that much more now. So we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, I don't know what the future holds, but I wouldn't be opposed to standing in there with somebody who, for whatever reason, everybody just sees some kind of like similarity between Sam Beal and I, and I don't know whatever for, but I have a feeling that our paths will cross eventually.
Sure.
So Dallas, when and where was your first match?
Hmm.
The official match.
My first official match was February 9th, 2018, I think. It was early February. I have it in here somewhere in my phone. It was a tag match. It was me and Kenny Alfonso against one of the Regal twins. I can't remember which one because they were the Royal twins at the time, and Anthony Sharkbait Gutierrez. And they were doing these like little backstage videos that they called Behind the League, and they filmed some of the match, and then they asked me a couple questions like before and after. And I think somebody, when NWL went down, took as much of the NWL footage from the YouTube page that they could and put it back up. So it's all still out there somewhere. But I
was watching a little bit of it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So, okay, cool. So like, I knew it was still out there, but I didn't know really how many people like either still watched it or even knew that it was still out there, because it's still like I said, it's still out there somewhere, but
Yeah, I was looking for I was looking something up, and I was trying to find um, CSW,
Hmm.
the owner, or not the owner, the promoter.
Hmm.
Um, he was in NWL, and I
Yeah.
couldn't remember his name in NWL. I knew he was I knew he had a tag team partner, and one of the events that Josh and I had went to, they did a beat down on Mike Outlaw.
Hmm.
Um, or no, it wasn't Mike Outlaw. It was Danny Burch, because Danny Burch was fighting
Yes.
Jeremy Wyatt that
That's
night,
right. Yeah. Okay. So
and
yeah, the
then
guy you're thinking of, Michael Strider. Yeah.
yeah, Michael Strider, and
Hmm.
I found a video of Kyle O'Reilly wrestling in NWL,
That's right. Yeah.
and I found it's a I found it through a Twitter page that was NWL memes, but then they had a bunch of videos, and I went to the link, and the videos are a lot of stuff uploaded, and it
Yeah.
was recently. It was like within the past year and a half that it was
Sweet.
a lot of these videos were uploaded. So YouTube, and I'll find that for you.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
I actually didn't know until like way after the fact that Kyle O'Reilly had ever appeared for NWL.
yeah,
Because that was I'm pretty sure that was before my tryout. Because they were around for like about 8 months or so, maybe longer, before my tryout. But yeah, there was a lot of like little gold mines out there floating around from the NWL days. It's a lot of good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And you can find Baby Dallas in there somewhere every once in a while. Me with my stupid short hair and my bright orange staff shirt, and me just failing to keep the peace and get fans to move out of the way from raving brawlers. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there outside of that.
Yeah. Um, so we talked about your first match. Um, as far as what do you like? What current ventures do you have going on right now, other than CSW?
Well, obviously, I'm still as involved as I can be with Journey. Um, just like they started up when there was no wrestling going on in Kansas City, and it was a lot of people. There were not a lot. There were some people involved that were connected from the NWL days, and it was just so important for us to like have a place in Kansas City because Kansas City supports professional wrestling. The wrestling fans in Kansas City do want a local place, and I think Journey has proven that time and time again. And they've helped me a lot too. So I do as much as I can for them. I wish there was more that I could do from just beyond a talent perspective, just because doing literally anything I possibly can to help out, because I want to see them succeed as much as I want myself or any of the talent to succeed. And they have they've done a lot that I think doesn't necessarily get the credit that maybe it should. And CSW now is trying to do the same thing with like a different area in the metro and presenting a different brand of wrestling, and that's important. And I'm they haven't been around as long, and I'm not as involved with CSW, but the same thing goes because I want Kansas City professional wrestling to succeed and to thrive. And so, if ever there was a way that I could be of service, I'm going to do what I can if they ask, and even if there was something they needed me to do that I maybe didn't know that I could do, I would certainly try. Because like I was brought up in pro wrestling treating it like a team effort with a team atmosphere and everybody working together to make sure that the show was as good as the show could possibly be, so that everybody wins. Rising tides lift all boats, however the saying goes.
Right.
And that's how I feel wrestling should be presented or should be approached. So to see, a lot, especially on the independent level, where it's a lot of just looking out for yourself and self-preservation and just all the chicanery that goes on sometimes. It was a tough adjustment for me at first.
Right.
So that, in terms of wrestling, that has been a lot of my biggest priority. But outside of wrestling, I've just been doing a lot of sort of growing pains, not just as a wrestler, but as a adult in his young 20s, still trying to figure out sort of how I'm gonna make things work. And while being in the unique position of having found something that you're passionate about and that you want to do, for some, I guess, what you want to sort of be known for doing, or that's what most people call a job or a career these days. But that very passion, that thing not being something that you can support yourself with, at least not in the current circumstances, trying to make that work and sort of finding how that looks for me and what works and what doesn't. And like I said earlier, when coming up with the hair metal heartthrob, just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And it's a process, this past, especially since COVID, it's been a lot of personal growth for me, and a lot of, sort of taking a step back even from wrestling and focusing more on myself as a person and the aspects of my life outside of wrestling that I wasn't paying enough attention to before the pandemic. And so that's mostly been what a lot of my attention has been towards outside of wrestling. But especially now that Journey has Agnes, I'm slowly going to be able to start devoting more of myself and my energy and focus back into wrestling. But I'm definitely going to be more cautious this time around to do so in a way that doesn't disturb, the delicate balance that ultimately I think leads to what people experience as a joyful or peaceful life.
Right.
Agreed.
For sure. Yeah. We started this whole thing for, we pitched back and forth different ideas on what our podcast should consist of. Originally we were going to talk about, the mainstream WWE, but we figured there's so many people doing that.
Yeah.
So when we went to that DWF CSW event, that kind of, sparked our interest to say, hey, let's, instead of doing mainstream, let's do the indies. Chase and I have been to multiple NWL events, Journey events, in the past pre-COVID. And it was something that kind of sparked our interest. And it's crazy, we're promoting these companies, and we came into this saying, all right, we're going to promote Journey Pro, we're going to promote St. Louis Anarchy. We know there's a Harley Races school in WLWs right there in Troy. So we're going to promote them, and we're going to be I-70. We're going to do Kansas and Missouri. But we're only 4 weeks in. We learned about a company called KCXW in Kansas City. We didn't even know it was there. Glory Pro in St. Louis. We never knew Glory Pro was there. And there's one in Salina. I think it's called KCXW, or no, I'm sorry, wrong. It was XWE, I think is what it's called. And and they're having an event in June. So just in the short time we've done it, we're learning more about the indie scene, and kind of excited to talk about them for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was exactly the same approach that we ended up having, Mike and Kevin and I, was because covering mainstream, just, they didn't enjoy doing it, and I didn't necessarily want to do it, because especially as it's just a weird sort of position to be in as somebody who's who, you know, if you're going to be one of those talking heads on the internet and somebody who has a podcast, and with how oversaturated that market has gotten, and, you know, to sort of be a nobody who has no real time put into that experience, it's sort of an awkward position to sit there and like even think about criticizing the work of a place that you sort of want to be under their employment. So it's like, you know, we ultimately were like, you know what? There's places here around us right now that we engage with, like literally in the same room, and we want them to do as good as we possibly can, because, you know, we know some of these people, and it's just as important to have thriving indies as it is to have a thriving mainstream, product. So that's exactly what we tried to do. Is we wanted to promote local talent, local shows, local events, and try to just help uplift as many of them as we possibly could. And now with, you know, I don't know if we necessarily communicated it as much when it was all happening, but with the whole dissolvement of our KCPN partnership, we're all kind of just like, we don't really know what we do now, especially since you've got pods like you guys that are starting to pop up, and the Total Spot Fest guys, who I've met a couple of times. You know, like now there's this new crop that's starting to come up and you know, pick up where we left off. But that's ultimately what the goal is, right? You want to uplift those around you. You want to help make these other companies that you have already, you know, been a fan of and supporter of, and help them do as well as they possibly can, despite how big or small your efforts might be.
For sure. Before we hang on, Chase, before you move on, I want to talk about Tammy Waterman's comment. She said, don't forget about PCW. And I believe she's talking about Prairie Championship Wrestling in Hutchinson, Kansas. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Tammy, for bringing that up.
That was where my last man standing match that I mentioned previously, that was the company that match took place with.
Nice.
Awesome. Tammy, I appreciate you joining us tonight. So Dallas, I've got a couple of things here for you. And we will wrap up the interview part of it. Where do you see Dallas Cade in 5 years?
That's man, you know, God, I used to absolutely hate those questions. Just be like,
I did too when I was your age,
right? Because
you know, but at 23, Dallas, I had 3 kids, man. And I was just, you know,
I can't imagine having 3 kids right now, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't imagine having one, dude.
I had 3 kids, but I had them later in life. Mine are still, you know, under 3 years old, but
yeah,
he had his pretty early in life.
He just had his 3 kids. So, you know, like I said, at 23, I had 3. You know, I was just going, you know, whatever.
Right.
You know, I was working and grinding and doing what I could to pay my bills. And, you know, that question, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, man? When I started asking myself that question, I'm so much happier. I feel like I have control, you know, and maybe it's because I am older. But you know, like that was the one thing I kept punching myself. I was like, man, I wish I would have projected or like, you know, planned when I was 20, when I was 23, you know. I didn't buy my first house until I was 31. You know, all that stuff. So
that's
you know, definitely. I know what you mean, man. I like I said, when I was your age, I hated those questions too. So
I think, and I think the reason is just because of like, you know, the certain experiences that I've had up to this point in my very, you know, short young life, that have sort of shown me how easy it is for like plans to be disrupted, and how quickly, you know, fit can hit the shan, and
Yeah.
you've sort of got to think on your feet and call an audible, and how, if you're caught unaware, that that can really send you back, that can really have you sort of just reeling. And I saw what it did to like the people around me, and I sort of didn't want to be in that same position, so I sort of more put a value on being able to adapt and being able to like just recognize what it is that I can excel at, or seizing an opportunity when it's presented to me. Because boy, let me tell you, Mama Cade was very concerned when her firstborn came home and said, "I'm going to go to a wrestling tryout." But and even still, like, now with COVID and everything, and we're seeing hopefully the back end of that, and the effects that it's had, not just on wrestling, but on everyone and everything. Like, it can be very hard to like collect yourself, to gather yourself, and to sort of feel ready to make any of those big jumps. But I'm definitely at a point where I'm not trying to be a prisoner of like paralysis by analysis. You know what I mean? Because despite what the hair metal heartthrob might appear to be, it's very deliberate. It's very intentional. Very like, there's a lot of thought and sort of intent that goes into even the little things. So that's a lot of how I approach life outside of wrestling too. I would like to think that in 5 years, I'm a lot more active in wrestling, and perhaps, hopefully in 5 years, I'll have at least started to scratch the surface on reaching that next level, and being of value and of service to a company like AEW or Impact or, WWE, where I can fill a full-time role. Or if, you never know how it goes. The next bump could be your last. So if in 5 years I'm not wrestling anymore, I hope that whatever it is I'm doing is something that I'm passionate about, that I'm good at, and that I can excel at, and that I can offer something to everyone else to leave whatever it is I'm coming into better than it was when I arrived. That's what my goal was with NWL. That's what it's been with Journey. That's what it is with wrestling, and that's what it's going to be with anything else that I do outside of wrestling, which I definitely want to start putting a little bit more emphasis on, because the pressure that having an all or nothing approach to wrestling with it can be so harmful, and it can get you burnt out, and it can leave you feeling all this pressure, like, everything has to be great, every success has to be had, and it feels very extreme, very life or death. And that's not a formula that I find leaves you feeling fulfillment, leaves you feeling that success, or lets you even enjoy the ride. So that's a lot more of what I'm focused on now, is, like I said earlier, that balance and enjoying the things that I actually do enjoy doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Enjoy it while you can, man. Because, like I said, when you get our age, and, not just our age, I know that's so cliche. Oh, when you're my age,
Oh
but
yeah.
seriously, my daughter's 17. So, and I tell my daughter, I'm like, hey, enjoy high school, because when you're 22, you're going to wish that you went back, or you wish
Oh
you
yeah.
could do it
No.
over.
Yep.
And when I was 27, I was like, I wish I could do 22 or 23 over. And
Right.
at 30,
Yeah.
at 34, I'm like, man, I wish I could do 28 over. So completely
Right.
understand. Speaking of that, if Dallas Cade today could talk to Dallas Cade, let's say 17-year-old or 18-year-old Dallas Cade, what would you tell him?
Ooh. Oh man. Oh God. How much time do I got?
All the time in the world, brother.
Ooh, shoosh. Well then shit, I could write a fucking novel for him. Good God, if I got that much time. Oh man. Gosh, I've thought about this, because while I personally hated high school and I am very glad to be out of it, I do understand what you mean. There are aspects of how simple that time was that I wish, you could just get that back. I'm not a fan of do-overs. I'm not a fan of having regrets because that's beyond my control. The past is the past. But yeah, there's definitely that yearning for that, just the simple things again. And I think, what would I tell? Because 18-year-old Dallas is probably about to do his tryout or might have just stepped in the door. That's a lot. There's, of all the things that I could tell him, man, I would probably just tell him to have fun. I mean, because while it was an incredibly fun 9 months that I spent learning there, and the experiences that I had are unlike any that I think any 19-year-old would have had, going to junior college or whatever. Just like enjoying the little things and really being present and taking everything in, because we were told very often, guys, none of this can all be gone tomorrow. Like, none of this is gonna, like, this will not last forever. Like, get what you can out of it now and enjoy it, so that when it is gone, you will have taken everything that you could from it. And we were all like, oh yeah, but I mean, it's NWL, we got weekly television and we've got, the Millionaire Major Based-In. And then one day we get that group text with nothing, gone. Like, it's over. Like, not it's going to be, it is, like that. And that was like a lot to sort of process at that time, because it wasn't 2 or 3 months later that over half the people I had come to know and love that have brought me up and been the only people to like take me in and like educate me as a person, at 19 years old, they were gone. They were going back home. They were going across country. They were, trying to get on TV. They were doing their own things. Like, some of them had families and they had to take care of them, and, it was gone. So I think knowing how much I still to this day look back on that 9-month period, I would tell 18-year-old Dallas, who's about to enter that 9 months, to enjoy as much of it as humanly possible.
Nice.
I like it.
Too. What?
So
I got a question here to kind of, close to closing it out, but
sure.
What if we've got any bookers or promoters on the podcast? Where would one go to find Dallas to book you for one of their shows?
I do, like I said, I do a lot of my like promoting and professional stuff on my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Dallas Cade. And that's usually where you can slide in the DMs, and not that there are a whole lot of promotions sliding in the DMs of a young kid who's never been anywhere, but hey man, Dallas Cade's willing to travel. So
well, Dallas, that's that's the goal for this show, and you're our first guest, and
yeah, you guys misled me with that. I was told a guest. I was not told the first. That is
really?
a whole new pressure that I did not know ahead of time I was going to have to deliver on. But hey, I hope that I suffice. I hope that I did the pod justice.
Fucking hell, Josh, you're fired.
I could have sworn I told you. That was my bad.
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus, man.
My
but
bad. No, we do appreciate you coming on. No, we were, again, we talked to you at the show. 4 weeks. This is our 4th week doing this thing, and to have one of the wrestlers, one of the boys, come on the show, and dude, we were extremely excited for it. So I appreciate it.
I was excited too. I am very thankful. I'm honored to have been the first. I would gladly be the first repeat. I appreciate that of all the people you guys could have got. I'm very thankful that y'all came to me. I appreciate it. I know what it's like to be 4 weeks into a pod and be doing the grind and trying to promote it and getting it out there and trying to get those social media views and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I can appreciate the hustle. Yeah, dude, that's the thing about stuff like this, all of this content stuff, performative, any industry that's performative like that, wrestling, whatever, man, it takes that full-time job effort without getting that full-time job paycheck, without getting a lot of the stuff that you normally would with your 9 to 5 or your 40 hours a week. So you really got to do it for the love of it. You really got to be passionate about it. And it's really not got to be about the success. It's not got to be about what you can get from it, but what you can give to it. And that's, I guess, if anywhere to wrap this interview portion, that would be a profound place to do it.
Sure. So, Chase, do you want to take a quick break before we jump into the journey stuff?
Yeah, no. Again, Dallas, like I said, man, not to hammer too hard on it, but you have no idea how much this means. We decided you were going to be the first one we asked because you were the first one we asked at DSW or DWF/CSW. And you never hesitated. There was never a moment where you looked at us and were like, I told you, I was like, hey man, like it's small time. And you were like, hey, we're all small time. And we've all been small time. So you were like, yeah, hit me up and we'll
guys,
do it. So,
I'm small time. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm very small time. And I don't see that. There's not a very large indication of that changing anytime soon. I will never be bigger than any person, anything, any project, or none of that, because I know what it is. I know what it's like to come across somebody who does kind of see that or feel that way. They come across like that. It sucks. All right. I'm a very big proponent of the golden rule. I want to treat others the way I would want them to treat me. And I know what it's like to be like the nothing podcast that nobody's heard of, that went out and asked somebody. Like, I remember when Mike was, that was sort of that's what my in was with Mike and Kev was. I was like, well, I'm kind of connected to some of these wrestlers that you guys might want to interview. So if that was sort of my way to weasel into that. And anything I can do to help, that's always just been sort of what I've said to people, whether it be promoters, whether it be other, people that are younger than me in their journey of becoming a pro wrestler, whether, you guys and your podcast, anything that I can, like the fact that you guys came to me, I'm honored. I appreciate it so much. And I'm glad that I could be here for your guys' first. And thank you, everybody that came to listen or watch. Thank you for everybody that's watching the replay. And I wish every single one of you guys all of the best success that you can possibly be given, and all the best.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we are going to take a break. We're going to take 5. We're going to come back and we are going to talk about Journey Pro. All good things flow into the city. This was, I mean, if we, Josh, we're sitting here at an hour and 50, brother. If we get through nothing, I want to get to the main event. So stick
Yes.
around. We're going to be talking about Journey Pro, and then we're going to be closing out. Dallas, you sticking around, brother?
My phone has been buzzing on and off for the past, I guess, 30 minutes or so. So I probably should head out. But
You're good.
If you guys are covering a show that I'm actually on next time I come around, then by all means, maybe we'll cut the interview just like maybe a little less than 2 hours, and then we can cover that show, and I'll stick around for that with you guys.
You're good, man. Like I said, we greatly appreciate it.
Hey, me too,
Dallas, I see you. I see you with some championships under your belt in the next 5 years.
Hell yeah!
Shit, I hope so, man.
Hell yeah!
I love gold.
So Dallas, we watched that match. You got charisma, you got skill, man. There's nowhere else but up, dude. So
thank you, man.
Again. Appreciate it. Much love. Go out there and do Kansas City wrestling proud, brother.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do my best. Until next time I see y'all. Heartthrob out.
There you go.
See you, man. All right.
If you guys are still here and you guys are watching, we're gonna take 5. We're gonna be right back. The screen's gonna say show starting soon, but the show has already started. We are just in intermission. And here's some fantastic elevator music for you guys to chomp on for a little bit while we take 5. So be right back. Okay. So out of curiosity, are we still having issues with the chat? You got to unmute yourself, numbnuts.
The chat appears to be working just fine.
Okay.
We had a blip there for a good probably 15 minutes, and I could see people commenting on my phone, but it was not showing up on the side. But we are good now.
Yeah, I was trying to like reset it without having to reload the page. Because obviously, if I would have reloaded the page, we would have been up Schitt's Creek. But Brody just put like Tiller randomly, so I don't know.
Yeah. He I think maybe Tiller popped in, possibly. I'm not sure. I can't see who joins the chat, but anyway, thanks for you guys for sticking around.
Yeah,
we're gonna get back to our regular scheduled programming and talk some Journey Pro.
There you go.
And I am extremely excited to talk about this. This was a phenomenal 2-night event. Josh knows every once in a while. But yeah, guys, we kind of jumped around it, skipped around at the beginning of the show just because we were trying to, make some time for Dallas. But what did you think? We'll go night by night. We've been on this for almost 2 hours, so we're not going to go match by match like we probably would have had we not had the interview. But what was your impression of night one? Maybe a match that stuck out to you of night one. Just what was your overall thoughts of night one for this Journey event?
So I loved it because we were able to watch it live. If like we said at the beginning of the stream, if you don't, it is Journey to Anarchy. Journey, the number 2, Anarchy on Twitch. You can go watch their monthly events there. It's fantastic. If you can make it out, being there in person is phenomenal. But if you can't, for obvious reasons, whatever, money, sick, whatever the case is, you can watch it on Twitch. And you can also watch the I-70 Hot Tag podcast and the Dynamite Post Show presented by yours truly, CR Media, on twitch.tv/CR Media 1988. If you haven't, please go give us a follow on there, because eventually down the road we will become Twitch exclusives. But I want Twitch to give me a paycheck first. So fuckers. No, night one was awesome. They did that thing with Jeremy Wyatt. They played up this whole thing for the past month, where Jeremy attacked an official. And was Jeremy going to even be around in Journey Pro anymore? They were going to, give him judgment or whatever they called it. And I felt like after watching night one, I was like, well, it's written in the stars. Jeremy Wyatt's going to continue kicking ass, and running amok in Kansas City independent wrestling. And actually, I think I gave my prediction right there in the Twitch stream, where I was like, I think Laney Luck will make it to the finals. That just seems like Journey Pro is all about doing things different. They do things a little bit differently than your normal wrestling companies. Like I said, their pay-per-view names, their just the way they run things. And so I thought, I could see Laney Luck going down to the finals with Jeremy Wyatt, and then Jeremy Wyatt knocking the shit out of her and taking the Journey Pro championship. Obviously, that didn't happen. Team Bussy versus the Howlets. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's me pounding on my table because the Howlets got fucked out of the GCW Tag Team Championships.
Yep.
That was stupid. I don't know what she was doing. Somebody said her foot was on the ropes. I didn't see no foot on the ropes. I saw the Howlets kick her ass and pin her 1, 2, 3. That's what I saw. And then I saw
that was the biggest pop that I had the entire night when I saw the Howlets winning the GCW tag titles.
Yeah.
Like, I was in awe for a second, and then
Yeah.
all the shenanigans and shit happened, you know. So
Yep.
Team Bussy, they restarted the match. They retain, obviously, which was what we thought was going to happen, but they gave us that little glimmer of hope that the Howlets could have walked away with it. But
Yeah, and regardless of kayfabe aside, guys, this was the Howlets coming out party. Obviously there's a lot of people in the Kansas City area who have known the Howlets for a while. And obviously the Howlets aren't exclusive to Kansas City. I know they've been around a little bit. They go elsewhere. But GCW is the hottest independent promotion right now. They're on fire. It started with death matches and where they started picking up steam, and they have just gone. They've just been trucking along. So for them to have a match with the GCW Tag Team Champions, beat them, and not just beat them. Like I said, in my opinion, the Howlets kicked their ass and pinned them. Reverse decision or not, like I said, I feel like that was the Howlets coming out party, and don't be shocked to see the Howlets in further ventures besides just Kansas City.
I 100% agree. Yep.
Your thoughts on night one?
You somewhat mentioned it. I really love that segment with Jeremy Wyatt. Walter came out to the ring. He's one of the Journey Pro owners, Walter Fulbright, and basically was, he basically said there's no spot in Journey Pro for Jeremy Wyatt. And then they went out and interviewed a couple fans. For the most part, they're in the same boat as you and I. Yes, heinous act against the referee, but he's too good of a wrestler. We want Jeremy Wyatt to stay in Journey Pro. So just as the announcer's getting ready to make another announcement or ask another fan, boom, Jeremy Wyatt pops in, knocks him on his ass, takes the microphone, and basically the rest is history. He cuts a good promo, dares Walter to fire him, and it gets to the point to where he gets up in Walter's face and says, "I need you to take your glasses off because I don't want to be charged with kicking your face in and shards of glass getting shoved in your eye." So something along those lines. And so that prompted the thumbs and buns, which I do want to talk about that as well. Thumbs and buns, and I believe it was Luke Langley came out to make the save, only for Luke Langley to turn and help Wyatt attack both Jay Fowler and Mighty Micah. And then at the very end, Wyatt got his super kick into the face of Walter. So great heel promo. Wyatt did not have a match night one. His matches all fell on night two, so we can talk about that. But that entire segment was phenomenal, and I love Wyatt. As good as he is in the ring, he's just as good on the microphone to play up just this asshole heel, make the crowd hate you, and he does a phenomenal job doing that.
Yep.
So
I cannot agree more. Night two. What was your thoughts on night two?
Two moments stuck out to me, and I'm not going to say moments. Two matches as being my two favorites. One, Jeremy Wyatt versus JDX. I had never seen JDX wrestle prior to this, at least not to my knowledge, but he is phenomenal. I mean, he is an athlete, and he put on a hell of a show in both of his matches. I believe he had one night one against who did he wrestle night one? Luke Langley. He beat Luke Langley, and then his round two match was against Wyatt, and that match was just a clinic. And Wyatt, how good of a technical wrestler he is. They just played really well off of each other, had a really good match, and it was like a 15-minute may have even been a 20-minute match. It was a pretty long match for a second round. That was like a championship match, caliber. The second match I wanted to talk about, I'm sure you're gonna have some notes about this, is Gary J versus Effie. The stiff Robo Ginger, the current Gateway Heritage Heavyweight Champion, getting to show off against the GCW, half of the GCW Tag Champions, Effie. Just a great match. I believe it was I don't know if it was a hardcore match or a no fault, falls count anywhere match. They were using weapons, and the one specific spot they had the guardrail, laid out over the apron. One side was on the apron, the other side was on the other end of the guardrail. So they used it kind of like a table, and I believe Effie suplexed Gary J into that guardrail off the apron, and that was the spot of the night for me, or spot of the match. But without getting into that main event, those two spots, two matches stuck out to me as memorable for sure. What about you?
So the two things that stuck out to me, obviously, Jeremy Wyatt and JDX. It was a fantastic match. And when Jeremy won, I was like, well, here we go. It's inevitable. Like Thanos. Jeremy Wyatt was going to continue making history in the Midwest and become the first ever Journey Pro champion. The Howlets defeating Thumbs and Buns, and Fowler officially turning on Mighty Micah, which was a little heartbreaking. I didn't want to see it, but you could tell from the actions in night one that they were bound to turn on them, right?
Yep.
Turn on each other. I'll tell you what was really funny was Mighty Micah was trying to get them to smile, and they weren't having it. And there's actually a tweet where Mighty Micah was like, "Hey, I know I got you guys. I know I got you." And then Anaya was like, "Shut the fuck up. No, you don't."
We need to get the he was trying to get the the Twitter hashtag. I think it was Micah Howlett, hashtag Micah Howlett trending. So go to your Twitter pages and use the hashtag Micah Howlett.
Yeah.
So it was good stuff. Good, it was very entertaining. The Howletts are no shenanigans team, and Micah was just trying to do everything he possibly could to get him to break. And both Anaya and Hoodie did a good job not doing that. So
yeah. And as I've said plenty of times, they I'm a huge Howletts fan, obviously. I love Hoodie and Anaya. Yeah.
Before we get to the main event, I do want to give, a big shout out to Wasteland War Party. They put on two great matches. The members of their team. I'm a big fan of Heidi Howitzer. She's in ring, in her character, just the whole package. She's a phenomenal wrestler, and her being in there with she's done it before. We talked about this last week about how the women we're doing a lot of intergender matches, and she's great. And I just wanted to give a shout out to her and that Wasteland War Party. That keep up the great work. It's awesome to see her thrive in the Kansas City area. So big kudos to her.
Yeah, absolutely. They and I can't remember if this was from night one or night two, but the guys potato chips. The Howletts came out and were punting bags of potato chips into the crowd, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what's weird to me, or not weird. I mean, I guess it's not that weird, but how the Howlets are major heels in Journey Pro. And they're definitely not major heels, or at least they weren't in CSW.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
in fact, those little fuckers in the premiere were the heels in CSW,
yep.
not the Howlets.
Yep.
So I mean, like, it was cool. I liked it because I mean, you know, I love seeing them do hashtag heel shit in Journey Pro. And then, you know, like I said, man, you know, getting Ania's blood on me when we were at CSW was cool as shit. You know, being so close to the action right there, you know. So yeah, I was trying to see if I could find that tweet from Ania where he pretty much told Mighty Micah to piss off. Here it is. Okay. We'll let me get my thing over here. Jiminy Christmas. When my second screen is so damn big that yeah, when it's so big that I have to like swipe 10 times. But I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can zoom in on this page, like right here. Boom, 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 boom. All right, there we go. Yeah. See, my Mighty Micah put, if you look real close, you can see Hoodie smiling and trying not to laugh. I'm getting to these guys. It's going to happen one day. Hashtag Mighty Howlet. And then Ania was like, he was laughing at you. So, the main event. Christian Rose versus Jeremy Wyatt for the first ever Journey Pro Championship. And right as we're getting ready to square this thing off, there were some terrible storms coming through the Kansas City area that night, on both the Kansas and Missouri side.
Can you stop sharing?
No.
Sorry.
I don't really want to. But I wanted to bring this over here. So, like I said, there was some major storms coming through the Kansas City area, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And right as the main event is starting, the Twitch stream goes out. And then, you know, we're all told in the Twitch stream that, like, hey, like, apologies, the power went out in the arena. And so then I'm like, shit, like, here we are, we're getting ready to make history. Yep. And we're all like, we're about to miss this. And I mean, this moment couldn't be more. I mean, I don't even know like what to say. Like, there was a woman who started filming or started live streaming it from her cell phone. And everybody, as you can see, is lighting the arena with their cell phones, watching these two have this match. And it's just, it's professional wrestling, man. Like,
yeah, it's surreal. I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, go check out their Twitter page. They've got pictures of it, looking at just the multiple angles. You know, when you think of an arena, especially an independent wrestling arena, if they lose power, it's going to be pitch black. You don't think that they're going to be able to wrestle, but when you look at these pictures, it is very, you know, I'm just talking about it. I'm getting chills, wishing that I was in attendance to experience this moment, because it was something special.
Yeah. As soon as I found that live stream, I was like, and dude, like, it's crazy because, you know, like, I enjoy commentators. I enjoy, you know, commentary is a huge part of the pageantry of professional wrestling, with the production of it. But man, without this, every near fall, every big move. I mean, like, it was just, like I said, it was special. And it made this event and the fact that it's the first ever Journey Pro champion like that much more. And I mean, I can't say enough great things about it. Other than shit like this, like right here, is why I love professional wrestling. So, yeah, as far as Journey Pro, God, do I still have the show starting soon? The background, that's cool.
No, I do want to, big shout out to Christian Rose. He is the first Journey Pro champion. He did something that night. Not only were they wrestling, in the light of cell phones, but he also defeated Jeremy Wyatt, who I believe has never lost in Journey Pro prior to this. He has been undefeated in Journey Pro. And it has been a very long time. Could have been stemming back to losing to Dak Draper in NWL since Jeremy Wyatt has lost in Kansas City. He just did something. He beat Wyatt, who had not been defeated for 5 years in this city. So great match from what I could see from the cell phone video. Very, very happy for Christian Rose. I was kind of on board with you as well when Wyatt went in, that I thought, okay, here's, they're going to have a good match. Wyatt's going to somehow pull this off, but it couldn't have ended even better. Could not have ended better.
And Christian Rose deserved to win that Journey Pro championship. Mm-hmm. Not only did he deserve to win it, the fact that, I mean, you can't write it better than that. The fact that the lights went out, the fans, he was the fan favorite. Like, the girl that was live streaming it was screaming at the top of her lungs every single time, and she made that video. Yeah. Like, it was amazing. And like I said, the lights going out and what happened in this photo right here made Christian Rose's title win that much more magical. So,
yep.
We are on the back end here, guy.
Yeah, man.
There is, like you brought up at the beginning, about how there's so much going on, right? Mm-hmm. And this little thing, this last little part that we have to go over here is proof of it. That there is so much going on in Missouri and Kansas, and this is why we made this podcast to dedicate to this, and we will try and cover as much, if not all of this, as we can. But did you want to say anything else about Journey Pro before we finish this up?
Not about the event. We've got I want to spend a couple seconds talking about their next event because it's for a cause, but we're good as far as the all good things flow through the city. That's
okay.
A+ show, guys. Great work.
Fantastic. Yep. St. Louis Anarchy, Fight to Live. There's looks like there's going to be a lumberjack match. Dirty Jack Durden versus Christian Rose. And then next week, Central States Wrestling, Strapped. Jeremy Wyatt versus Mike Outlaw for the DWF Championship. Would definitely like to see what CSW has in store for the the Central States Wrestling Championship. Would love to see if they're gonna, I love title designs, so I'm super excited to see what they do, especially with Central States being a former NWA. So would love to see what what title design they go with. If they do, obviously, might be a while before we see that. Looks like we've got the World League Wrestling, and it is doing the Rival Riot Rumble. Let's back up for a second. The reason why Central States Wrestling is doing that event called Strapped is because they are going to have Derek Neal and Moonshine Mantell in a strap match. Because at No Turning Back, Moonshine Mantell's bitch ass. That's right. I said Moonshine Mantell is a bitch. His manager elected to get involved, that little loudmouth punk, and got a strap with Derek Neal and whatnot. So, like I said, I'll be rooting for Derek Neal to whoop the shit out of Moonshine Mantell with that strap. So that is why CSW's next event is called Straps, because Derek Neal's going to whoop some ass. So,
And just throwing this out there, the I-70 hot tag is going to be live in attendance to this event. So
absolutely, absolutely, I might get my payback on Moonshine Mantell at that event.
Well,
Might
we talked about with Dallas about him. People always asking him to chop him. I'm sure he's going to be happy to chop you.
I don't know if I'd take a chop from Moonshine Mantell. I might have to lace up the Chaos Chase boots and whoop Moonshine Mantell's ass. So if not Moonshine, then at least his manager. So
right,
yeah.
So you kind of mentioned a little bit the WLW Rival Riot Rumble. That's Harley Race's school. They're having a 15-man over the top battle royal. I believe it's their annual. So There's been a few people announced for it. We talked about it last week. Leland Race is going to be in it. Derek Stone,
who was Harley Race's son, who now runs that promotion.
Yep.
Since obviously Harley Race has passed away. So
Yep. And then Derek Stone and Superstar Steve. There's been a couple other announcements for who's joining that. We'll get into that next week. I know we just wanted to kind of promote this Journey show. So next week on the show, we'll dive a little bit more into that card and see who all else is going to be in that and the other matches on it as well. So
May 22nd, we've got Glory Pro presents Massive Aggression. One of the matches billed on there is Davey Richards versus Eddie Kingston. Glory Pro does, Glory Pro has a bunch of, higher or not high, but more well-known independent wrestlers on their shows. They had Ethan Page at their last show, Danhausen, so one of the matches billed there is Davey Richards, who is a member of a very famous independent wrestling tag team, and then Eddie Kingston. May 27th, Journey Pro Headlocks for the Cure. What do you know about Headlocks for the Cure, Josh?
So it was just announced within the last couple days that this event is named after. It's named Headlocks for the Cure because all the proceeds to this event is going to benefit Head for the Cure Foundation, which is going to help them go gray for Brain Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm not sure. I don't want to talk out of line, but I know one of their owners, DJ Stewart, I believe, is on the mend. I believe he's in remission, but had cancer. I'm not sure if it was brain cancer or not, but it was cancer. He's on the mend now as well. But so this is very near and dear to their heart. So great cause. So this is something that definitely going to want to try to get out to for sure.
Is this going to be at the
Agnes?
At Agnes?
Yeah, I think that's going to be their permanent spot. I think that's where their school is, and they're going to have their all their events at Agnes now. So,
Okay, good.
which is great because they've had a hard time trying to lock down a facility. You know, they had that bar, they did shows in there for a little bit, and then they moved over to that coffee shop, which I'm drawing a blank. Dallas said it earlier, and then now they finally have a spot to their own. That I believe they own that building. So.
Good. And then Warrior Wrestling, who reached out to us on Twitter, asking to help promote the event, and also asking to, if we were interested. Warrior Wrestling is in St. Louis. I want to make my way out to St. Louis, but I need to make sure that. That if I go out to St. Louis, I can come back the next night because I'm not staying in St. Louis because I despise St. Louis. It's a shithole. So that's it is what it is. But at this Warrior Wrestling 22 event in St. Louis, they will have Will Ospreay against Davey Richards, which I'm very excited about. Would love, like I said, would love to make my way out to St. Louis to check out what that's about. So more to come on that. We, like I said, I'm debating. It's one of those things where I'm like, do I want to do it? Do I want to pull the trigger?
Right.
But and then on June 4th in Salina, Kansas, in association with the Kansas Wrestling Alliance, they will be having former WWE superstar Eugene there. Nick, what's his name? Nick.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his last name is. It is Nick though.
Nobody will know unless you say WWE Eugene. So
WWE Eugene's going to be there. I have reached out to their ownership on who's owning them, at least their Instagram page, and they are excited to potentially collaborate and help us. Interested in us helping to promote that event, and may possibly make an appearance on the show sometime in the near future. We'll work on that.
Sweet deal.
But they are, XWE. They're in association with the Kansas Wrestling Alliance, so it's like a subsidiary of the KWA. So should be a fun event if you're around the Salina, Kansas area.
It's on June 4th, and it is called Summer Heat.
Yep.
So love the play on a classic wrestling. It's got that classic wrestling name to it, Summer Heat or Heat Wave or Summer Slam or whatever. So I like that. I dig it. Like I said, I'm a sucker for those cheap wrestling premium live event names. So future podcast shows. Looks like we've got ourselves down for next Wednesday, previewing WLW's rival Riot Rumble, and we're going to touch on CSW straps before we make our way out there. May 19th, Brody Hall's birthday. Happy early birthday, Brody, if you're still in here. Broderick. We're going to break down the CSW strapped event. As Josh and I both will be in attendance. Like I just said, we'll kind of talk about what happened. We'll share some pictures, some videos, all that good stuff, and and then May 26th, we'll be previewing Journey Pro Headlocks for the Cure. So that's the lineup, guys. God, dude, 2 hours and 31 minutes, brother.
Been a good one though.
It has. Like I said, Brody, I know you're still here. Whoever else is still watching, whoever else listens, whoever was here earlier, if you catch the back end of it later on, like I said, it's 11 o'clock. Understand people, have to work and get up. So, appreciate you joining while you did. Appreciate you staying. Appreciate you, just jumping in, whatever the case is. I don't know what to say, man. This exceeded my expectations.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Go ahead.
Dallas was awesome. Again, can't say enough positive things about that. And him doing the show. I guess according to the lineup, man, this is where we close out. But before we do that, as usual, my name is Chase, your boy. I run CR Media, and if you're looking or interested in CR Media and finding us on social media, this tag right here. Whoa, that is so weird. I hate this mirror camera stuff. This tag right here at CR Media 1988 is where you can find me. You're going to find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, the TikTok. And if you can, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like, the share, and the notification bell. Trying to hit 1,000 followers on TikTok so I can go live so we can saturate the market. And also trying to get to 50 followers on Twitch. You're going to be seeing CR Media do a little bit more video games. Also, these streams can be found on Twitch as well. So definitely go give it a follow on Twitch. My friend Josh over here, who you can find him at The Real Josh Elliott, and he's on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok as well. So go give him a follow. The I-70 Hot Tag, which is where you're at right now, is on the I-70 Hot Tag podcast. My friend Josh over here runs the I-70 Hot Tag social medias. And you can find him on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the TikTok. Go give him a follow. Doing a lot of fun stuff on the TikTok. I enjoy the videos. I know you're doing a lot of like stitches and duets with some wrestling content creators, which is yep. Like I said, it's fun. It's a great community on the TikTok. So yep. Definitely go give a follow, a share, tell your friends. We're over here having a blast and nowhere else but up from here. So would love for you guys to join in on the journey. Other than that, Josh, you got anything else?
Nope. We're good. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. So for Chase with CR Media and my fantastic co-host, Josh, the real Josh Elliott, this has been the I-70 Hot Tag podcast. Good fight. Good night.
Good night.